Addo, you monitored it. What was your own observation so far from the messaging during the campaign in itself and ultimately culminating in the election on Saturday?
Roland, first of all, let me say once again, good morning. That said, our party had issued a statement congratulating the MPP for going through such primaries and coming out without the usual violence and all the associated problem. And we need to congratulate them for that. I monitored it because I wanted my candidate to win. And my candidate in the MPP primaries was Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia. I say my candidate because I obviously want a candidate that the NDC will not struggle to, as it were, to defeat again.
I do understand.
Yes. I personally wanted a candidate. And so at all times, I was praying that Brian won't win. I was praying that Ken will not win. And in fact, all my modeling,
really?
I model it around Bawumia winning. And thankfully, he won. And that places us in a better advantage going into the 2028 election. Let me say this. You see, one great man once said, never interrupt your opponents when they are doing what will get them to their demise. Never, never interrupt them. And so for us, anything that the MPP were doing, we wanted everything to get to the point. Look, if you look at the whole poll, it was clear that Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia was going to win. There was no two ways about it. The very moment he succeeded in getting the top-bottom approach approved by the neck of the party, I knew that he was going to win. Why? The delegates who in November 2023 elected him, which eventually led to his monumental defeat, were the same delegates. Nothing changed. And as human, we always want to validate our decision. And so it was going to be difficult for the same set of delegates to do a 360 degrees in their reasoning. It would be, and you see, they want to confirm their previous decision. And so it was not strange at all. It was just a few of them who this time around decided that the Bawumia candidature was problematic for them. And for that matter, if you look at this particular election, a few of the delegates realized the risk in having Bawumia on the tickets. And for that matter, you will notice that he dropped from 62% in November 2023 to now 56.65%. That should tell you that as he progresses, becomes less popular in the MPP.
Really?
Yes, even among the same delegates. And that is even more dangerous. Look at the historical trend. There is no presidential candidate who has been repeated but had less percentage in its internal primaries. There's no presidential candidate.
None other than Akufo Addo.
President Agyapong, when he was repeated, he came out with a bigger and stronger support within the MPP. When Prosamils, 2000, 2004, 2008, he increased his numbers and popularity within the party. President John Dramani Mahama repeated the same thing. In fact, candidate Nana Dodankwa Akufo Addo struggled to get 50% in 2007 against candidate Alan Kyeremanteng. By the next time in 2012, when the MPP repeated him, he came with almost 85% from 47. And by the year 2014, he did not less than 92%. In the case of President Mahama, it has been an overwhelming support within the NDC.
So let me get this. You're saying that if you go the first time around and
Yes.
there's a repetition of your candidacy,
You have always come out stronger.
it has to be overwhelming.
Overwhelming. In fact, it is only Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia who has been repeated as a candidate with lesser support within the MPP. And that should be concerning for anybody within the MPP.
Why should it be Addo?
Because you see, like I've given you a historical trend, and the data analysis is there for all of us. Candidate Akufo Addo, who went with him, Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia, started with 47, went to beyond 80, and went to 90 within the cycle that he was repeated. Now look at Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia. His first time, he did 62%. His second coming, 56%. A massive drop from 62 to 56, sorry. That is massive in terms of numbers. And look at something. Even the MPP delegates number reduced. If you compare to the number that voted.
You mean the turnout?
Yes. And the delegates that really did vote just this Saturday, if you compare to 2024, the number reduced. So you can see that even with a reducing delegates number, his popularity, dwindles with the MPP. And that should be concerning. And this is data. Look, there are some historical things that work against Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia's candidature. Look at the numbers. There is no presidential candidate who had gone into an election has lost and won only 77 constituencies. Check the historical record.
As a national candidate?
Yes, as a national candidate.
But if you're rejuvenated, you have seen...
Rejuvenated, even internally, 40-something% of your party members do not see you worthy to lead them.
But he's going to face a new candidate from the NDC as well as...
No. You see, like I always say, you win on your own merits. You don't go into an election seeking to win on the weakness of someone. What is your merit, even within, internally? Look, if you recall, in November 2023, the likes of Sammy and Co predicted that Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia was going to win the internal election by 75%, 80% among others. There was a reason why they were thinking that way. Because that shows you your hold on the party. Now, if you have 40+% of your own party members rejecting you at the polls, what will be your national performance? In fact, somebody did a calculation, and the person said, look, if 62% resulted in, is it 42 or 38%?
I think 38.0.
Very well.
The first announcement that was made by the EC is 30, but the official outcome, as put together and then made public by the Electoral Commission, is 41%.
Okay, so
which one do you want to say? Please stick to 41%.
So 41.
Let's not have these arguments. Ato and Solomon had this argument there.
So we are saying that if 62% resulted in 41% in 2024,
56.
then 56% equals what? Find X.
Do that again.
So
algebra.
Yes, algebra. 62% resulted in 42% performance nationally.
41%.
41%.
Okay.
Now 56% will result to X. Find X.
Okay.
And others are projecting that may translate into 32%.
No, but it doesn't go. Election outcomes are good.
No, but you see, I am giving you these scenarios to just let you know what is ahead of him. And that is, and let me say this. For me, I was a bit surprised with the performance of Kwabena Agyapong. Where I sit as an electionist, somebody who has some understanding of the elections in Ghana, I think he's the most formidable threat in the next 10 years. I don't know how you was able...
Champon.
Yes, Brian. I don't know how he was able to do this in Volta region. He upstaged Ken Agyapong and Dr. Bawumia in the Volta region. That's quite, revealing. And I want to understand the model that he used. Because in November 2023, if you recall, Ken Agyapong won Volta region against Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia.
In actual fact, according to their projection, Volta region would have been a win. Dr. Kweku Annan last time confirmed it.
Yes. And if you look at this time round,
and they have a Mbu and Co on the team.
Brian Achampong rather took a very formidable lead in the Volta region. These are very interesting numbers. Look, in the NDC, we deal with over 400,000 delegates.
Your delegates?
Yes.
NDC delegates, 400,000.
About 400,000. And so when you go into the election and you do
an MPP
90, 213 or 13.
212.
Yes,
212
212 that did cast their, were supposed to have voted. The register.
But it doesn't matter.
Less of that
is
is
the constituent that.
No, but I'm just telling you that when an NDC candidate gets 90% of 400, it is much better in terms of its national, appeal than somebody getting 56% of 213. That's the point I'm trying to make. And it's important that you put this in perspective. Look, let me just say that I respect my opponents. And even in my practice as a law, I never underestimate my opponents in any matter that I deal with. So I respect Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia for he being the candidate of the MPP. We in the NDC are not going to be complacent. And we strongly believe that a simple antidote to the Bawumia candidature is a well-performing economy. Because, if you recall, Nana Dodanko Akufo Addo framed Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia in the minds of Ghanaian voters in his famous Sidino Aye Hata Hata. And for that matter, he needed a candidate called Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia with his economic prowess to help resolve the economic
challenges. He was doing well until COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
Calm down. Currently, there are global instabilities. So it is not just the case. And in fact, in the words of Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia, how come that the NDC government complain about global destiny when there is Ivory Coast? So it doesn't lie in his mouth to rely on global issues today. But most importantly, and I want to conclude on this, is the fact that Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia, as the chair of the economic management team, saw a situation where inflation went to 54%. And at the time when inflation got to 54%, only two countries were worse than Ghana, South Sudan and Zimbabwe. That is a demonstrable track record. Do you know that when inflation went to 54%, do you know that, Roland, 830,000 Ghanaians became poor? You may ask, Bayeduji, are you not exaggerating that this X number of persons became poor simply because inflation went to? My authority for this proposition is a publication by the Ghana Statistical Service. And let me reference it, where it says that the number of persons who had become poor by reason of inflation getting to that number. Let me see if I can pull the data for you. Yes.
Did you wrap up for me?
Yes, I'm wrapping up.
You seem to be high, you're milking this.
Ghana
Please
Web.
end for me.
Ghana Web. 850,000 Ghanaians shoved into poverty due to high government debt and high inflation, unquote. And so when Dr. Bawumia was the chair of the economic mismanagement team, 850,000 Ghanaians became poorer. In fact, poor. How is he going to explain that data today? How is he going to explain the lower inflation that we have today? What will be his alternative? What will be his alternative to the better management of the Ghana city today? It cannot be highfalutin. It cannot be voodoo economics. People want to see the reality in terms of the numbers.
Dr. Apiadanko, at the end of the day, okay. Lawyer Apiadanko.
You don't want G10 to come after you.
Lawyer Apiadanko. But is it not instructive that despite everything, just like the current president was voted out in 2016, and he said he learned lessons over the period of the 8 years, Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia could also be in the same mode. Is that not it?
So let me wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Wish yourself a good morning. Wish my brother Eduji a good morning and my Professor Batutuwa a good morning. Your question is asking me whether or not His Excellency Dr. Bawumia cannot make a case that he's learned his lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's learned any lesson. Indeed, the manner in which the MPP, the campaign was done, the messaging was done, tell me that, or confirms to me that the spirit of Machiavellianism, the spirit that is familiar, the culture that is very parochial, that has, in my opinion, destroyed the core values and principles of the MPP, was at the fore in how this campaign was done. And it tells me that His Excellency Dr. Bawumia and the MPP in general have not learned any lesson, have not repented. Indeed, the fact that they decided to do this bottom-up approach, whose essence was to turn the MPP into, in the words of the Venerable Kwesi Pratt, turn the MPP into a Bawumia fan club, confirms that this is a party that is going deeper into the abyss and are not in the position to give any credible opposition and are not poised to change how they do their politics. Because, when you take politics there are various ways in which people see politics. You can choose to see politics in the eyes of Aristotle, or you can choose to see politics in the eyes of Machiavelli, of Niccolo Machiavelli.
Which of those eyes are you looking through?
I've always looked at my politics in the eyes of Aristotle. Because the reason why you do politics ought to be to build a strong state, ought to be to create a situation where strong men, as in good men, you understand? I see politics that is governed more by ethics, a politics that brings to the fore virtue and principle. Now, the MPP, and especially when Anado took control of the party from 2008, did politics that was more Machiavellian in nature. Politics that saw power as the end. Personally, I see power as a means, as the beginning. As a means, it's not necessarily the end. But the MPP saw politics, saw power as the end. And because they see politics or they see power as the end, it reflected in how they did their campaign. Now, they've chosen a candidate, and they've told us that this candidate has some 16 cents. Beyond what we know, MPP themselves, his competitors, and the party itself, told all Ghanaians that Bawumia has some 16 cents. Bro, are you following?
I'm following.
That Bawumia has 16 cents. 16 cents. They say 60 cents. One, you remember what's it called? The Sanla rice. Sanla rice. They told Ghanaians that the Sanla rice is true. Bawumia, Sanla rice.
You mean was part of the campaign for the...
But they told us that Bawumia had committed some 16 cents.
Those are allegations, and it's been refuted several times.
Refuted. MPP itself, MPP is going to convince Ghanaians that Bawumia is the best person to lead us. But MPP also told us that Bawumia has some 16 cents. Beyond his inability to aid in reversing the principle of the Hatarization of the city. They are telling us that Bawumia has committed some 16. In fact, they even added that he is autistic. Did you hear that, bro? In this campaign, he said His Excellency Dr. Bawumia was autistic.
Let's leave that out.
No, I won't leave
Let's
it.
be decent
I'm being very decent because they're going to sell Bawumia.
But that was the campaign time. It's over.
No. You see, I'm telling you that
a lot of things were said.
Listen. And I'm saying that it depends. See, we must put the right political culture.
What's your point with rehashing and then trying to reframe this?
Because this is not just an internal election. They are going to sell Bawumia to us to become the commander-in-chief of Ghana. They are going to sell Bawumia and we are going to give him the job. Indeed, he's going to swear an oath to be faithful to Ghana. That means that he's going to be faithful to the ideals, the principles, the values of Ghana. He will swear an oath to protect, defend, and preserve the constitution of Ghana. And he's also going to swear an oath to dedicate himself to the well-being of all Ghanaians. And yet, he is coming out from a culture that sees politics from the eyes of Niccolo Machiavelli. For them, it's all about the power. They don't have any plan beyond the power. And we saw that in how they did their campaign. That the APP in this campaign told us that His Excellency Dr. Bawumia has committed some 60 sins, and he said that it's not important. When His Excellency Bawumia is going to be marketed to assume an office, which requires of him
of the United
to be faithful. I'm
only saying that
no, I have to rehash it.
Why should that be part of the narrative, lawyer?
Because they are going to present him to us to hold a position that requires that he's faithful to Ghana, that he's faithful to the ideals of Ghana, he's faithful to the values of Ghana, he's faithful to the agenda Ghana will set for him under Chapter 6 of our Constitution. He's going to take an oath to dedicate himself to the well-being of all Ghana. I'm saying that, but the culture that is bringing him is not a culture that sees politics as a means to serve the good of the whole. He's coming from a house that do not see politics as a means of building the people, of bringing up good people. He's coming from a culture that does not see politics as being capable of bringing up virtuous people. He's coming from a culture that do not do politics that has the interest of Ghana at heart. And you see, we saw that culture in the kind of campaign that was done. And he said, I shouldn't take it serious. But when they're telling me that the allegation that Bawumia was involved in the Hajj salary scandal, they're saying that it's part of a sense. When they're telling you that
it was a campaign, lawyer Pierre Dankwa.
So what?
The campaign is over. The election is over.
Listen, so
we're here to do the post-election analysis.
I'm telling
you are drawing references that the content of the messaging for the campaign will have an effect on how they sell the candidate.
It ought to be. It ought to have a
massive of the United Party. Yes, is that what you're claiming?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that one, you all have a choice to see politics as in the eyes of Aristotle. That says that the ends of politics ought to be in the creation or in providing the common good, creating virtuous people. You understand? Create a system where the individual ambitions of every single Ghanaian can best be met. And you see, in 1992, when we took our constitution, in the spirit of our constitution, we show the values of Ghana, sees politics like how Aristotle sees politics. And we see that in the kind of oath we say that whoever becomes president ought to take. And the first oath is that, listen, you must be faithful to Ghana. That's the first oath he will take. That he must be faithful to Ghana. What does this mean? You understand? You know, he's trying to be faithful to the values of Ghana. He's trying to be faithful to the ideals of Ghana. We say we believe in what's called the principles of probity and accountability. We claim that we believe in integrity. You understand? And he saw that oath once. He saw that oath once.
As vice president.
But he saw that oath. What did we see when he saw that oath? We are left with he left us with a country that was broken in terms of virtue.
Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia.
Yes, he left us with a country where we started questioning whether or not this constitutional democracy we took upon ourselves is even needful. And we see that in in the last Afrobarometer report before they left office, where majority of Ghanaians were questioning whether or not constitutional democracy was even good for us. He left us with an economy that was on its knees. The economy had lost all credibility. He left us with a situation where even though they claimed that they were going to protect the public purse, we had DDEP. My brother Edwin made a very good point about his management of the economy. He said that between 2017 and 2020, the economy was good. No, they laid the seeds for the failure of the economy between that 2017 and 2020. You see, when you analyze every economy and the role government plays in that economy, government plays a role in the economy in terms of its fiscal and its monetary policy. Now, we should be questioning them. What wisdom was in their deciding to spend 440 million Ghana cedis on one of the most transformational policies, the 1D1F, and 5 billion on 1D1F. That was how they used their power of fiscal policy. That's how they used the power of fiscal policy.
Well, it's a decision they had to make.
But what was the sense?
Jobs for NAPO, and then also...
Listen, how many jobs did NAPO create? And that's why when the so-called Russia-Ukraine COVID came, we had no legs to stand on. As things stand now, we are in even a more difficult international situation now with the way Trump is disrupting the global economy. And yet, what's the position of our economy? We have a situation where we are still locked out from the international markets. And what is the state of our economy? And you see, I'm telling you that the way the culture of the party, which have chosen him as president, that culture allowed a kind of nauseating campaign they did. And in that campaign, they have told us that Bawumia committed some 16 sins. Bawumia committed some 16 sins. And you think it's not important? I'm coming, please, I beg you. You just give me about 20% of the time. We need to go through those sins. We need to go through the sins.
The elections, why do you want to go through?
You see,
what are the same? I haven't come across it before.
Listen, they are saying that Bawumia likes tribal politics. And so even though per chapter 6 of our constitution, the political agenda, per chapter 6 of our constitution, Ghanaians are saying that we want a leader, or our political agenda is to create a Ghana. Is to create a Ghana where your tribe shouldn't be too critical. They want to forge one Ghana. They are saying that Bawumia is against that agenda. They are saying that Bawumia is very vindictive. They are saying it's here.
Why are you reading this?
They say Bawumia is very vindictive. I'm coming. They say that the DDEP, we should go action.
I want to verify your source. Let me
listen. Did you not see the 16 sins of Bawumia? Don't come. Did you not see the 16 sins of Bawumia? Yeah. They are saying that
I saw it.
They are saying that he is indecisive on key policies. They are saying that under his watch, instead of dealing with the haterization of the city, Bawumia championed the depreciation of the city. They are telling us that. They are saying that he alienated the grassroots of the party. They are telling us that he failed to unite the party. They say that he was silent during party scandals. We see the National Service Scheme. And you see, unlike in fact, I'll hold on. You understand? In fact, I'll try not to be comparing people's heights to the monies they took or they are claimed to have taken. I'll restrain myself from judging the heights of people, as against the monies they are claimed to have taken. But they said when people were taking monies, that was taller than them. Bawumia kept quiet. Now they say he's Bawulaya. They say he's Bawulaya.
Why are you reading?
They say he's Bawulaya. Did you not see the 16 sins of Bawumia?
He heard Kennedy Agyapong.
Did you not see?
No, I heard about Ken.
PDS scandal. They say the PDS scandal, some guarantee. The MPP is telling us that, so when we were saying that we were alleging, the MPP is telling us that we're all true. They are telling us that it's all true. They are saying that he used the vehicles for campaigning. You recall that my brother Owusu, with my brother Bakman, we've made a petition to the OSP. And then the OSP shouldn't think that we forgot about that petition. The OSP should not think that we forgot about that petition. Bawumia said that he spent to buy some what's it called, Vance for the party. He should come and tell us where he got that money. So, the MPP is telling us that he betrayed Nana Akufo Addo. They said broken promises on gold for oil program. They said 214 million immigration budget inflation. Now, these are things that the MPP themselves are telling us about Bawumia, beyond the autistic thing, beyond Ken saying that he's a liar on live TV. But why would they do that? Why would they do that? They'll do that because the culture within their party, the culture that is choosing him for us, the culture is not a culture that puts the interest of Ghana first. It's not a culture that puts the interest of the common Ghanaian first. But it's a culture that sees politics as a means of self-aggrandizement. It's a culture that sees politics as a means of building your personal interest as against the interest of the people. So, Ro, what they've done, how does that help or support a view, a statement that he's learnt his lesson? No. If anything else, if for instance, what it does, that it reaffirms our belief that the MPP is a party that is full of familiar spirits. And for people who are not too sure about the word familiar spirit, MPP is a party that's full of evil spirits. MPP is a party whose culture is parochial. MPP is a party that does not have the interest of Ghana at heart. And so that vile spirit, will lead them and will dictate to them how they handle everything. And in this campaign,
you mean principalities
and familiarity and evil spirits. And we saw that in this campaign.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.